Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, let's just jump right into it today because we are tackling something that honestly strikes fear into the heart of almost every new server owner, and that's Proxmox storage. If you've ever set up a home lab, you already know that storage can be incredibly unforgiving. I mean, networking can be annoying, sure. Containers can be destroyed and recreated in seconds. But your disks? Your disks hold the actual stuff. We're talking your photos, your media, your virtual machine images, your backups, literally your whole little digital house. And because of that, when something looks even slightly wrong with your storage, it feels completely terrifying. So today, we're going to figure out why Proxmox's complex, layered storage topology isn't actually broken, even when it looks totally haunted. So let me paint a picture that might be a little too familiar. Have you ever run the lsblk command on your new home lab and just panicked? You know the exact moment I'm talking about. Someone online tells you, hey, it's a helpful command. It'll clearly show your storage. So you type it in, you hit enter, and instead of seeing a neat, clean little list of the 3 basic physical drives you just installed, Linux spits out this massive, bewildering family tree. You're looking at weird names, arrows, random sizes, cryptic fragments. You fully expected a simple inventory list, but instead, you basically got a maze. To quote directly from our source material today, suddenly your calm little home lab looks like a crime scene. It feels like your disks have multiplied behind your back. And I just want to pause right here and say, if you have felt this way, your reaction is absolutely completely natural. It's not just a passing moment of, what does this mean? It's usually a deep sinking feeling of, oh no, did I build this completely wrong? Because our valuable data lives on these drives. Feeling super exposed by a terminal output we don't understand is totally valid. So let's look at the specific scene of the crime from our source. The physical machine in question was actually super simple on paper. It had exactly 3 physical drives. Just 3. A 128 gigabyte SSD for the Proxmox installation, a 1 terabyte hard drive, and a 500 gigabyte hard drive. That's it, the whole shebang. Yet, when lsblk was run, the output mysteriously showed 2 strange, identical 53.9 gigabyte entries, plus what looked like duplicates of every single Linux container. For a beginner who is just trying to understand how Proxmox, Linux block devices, LVM, and mounts all fit together, seeing this is incredibly unsettling. Section 1. Decoding the boot SSD. Peeling back the layers of your main drive. Well, it turns out that a single physical SSD can appear as tons of different entries because Linux is actually showing you all the layers at the exact same time. Take the device name SDA, for example. Beginners naturally guess this means System Disk A, right? But historically, that SD part refers to SCSI disk-style block devices. And in modern Linux, this covers SATA, USB, all sorts of drives. So SDA is simply the entire first disk. Underneath that, you have partitions like SDA1 and SDA2. These are slices carved out of that disk for the bootloader or the system to boot. Then the larger part becomes the foundation for the Linux Logical Volume Manager, or LVM. And stacked right on top of that are logical volumes, like your operating system's root home base, or a swap volume for overflow memory. Linux happily prints out this entire stacked family tree as if it should make perfect sense to you. To make sense of this, just think about it like this. The physical disk is the house, the partitions are the individual rooms, and the LVM, well, that's the plumbing. When lsblk outputs a dozen lines for your single boot drive, it is absolutely not a sign of your hardware magically multiplying in the background. It's simply a highly transparent map of a working system's architecture. It doesn't hide the machinery from you. It shows you literally everything from the foundation all the way up to the pipes. Section 2. The LVM-thin illusion, demystifying the duplicate 53.9 gigabyte entries. No, this specific mystery actually comes down to a concept called LVM-thin, or thin-provisioned LVM. You'll often see this listed as a T-pool in your terminal output. In LVM-thin, there's a very strict separation between the data area and the metadata area. And this is a great thing because it allows for incredibly flexible space allocation for your virtual machines. But thin provisioning requires a map to track where all that flexible data is going. And it's actually that map that causes all the visual confusion. So, breaking down what we're actually seeing here. On one side, we have PVE data underscore T data. This contains the actual raw block storage for your virtual disks and your container root file systems. This is the real data. On the other side, we have PVE data underscore T meta. This tracks all the bookkeeping. It's the data about the data. What's allocated, what belongs to which virtual disk. Every single storage system needs a map like this. So when you see 2 53.9 gigabyte entries, they are not duplicate drives magically taking up double your physical space. No way. They are just related views of the exact same pool structure, connected together through LVM and the device mapper. Your containers aren't taking up double the space either. lsblk is simply showing you how they connect. Now, if you want the simple truth without all that overwhelming machinery, our source suggests a really practical command: lvs-a-o lv_name, lv_size, vg_name. The real issue with lsblk is that it's almost too honest, It shows topology, literally what sits under what. But LVM tools like this LVS command are far better for giving you the actual LVM truth, what logical volumes truly exist, exactly how big they are, and which volume group owns them. It completely cuts out all that duplicate visual noise. Section 3. The raw mount debate: partitioning versus whole disk file systems. This debate really comes down to whole disk file systems versus traditional partitioning. On one hand, you can absolutely place a file system directly on a whole device, like /dev/sdb. It's formatted directly and it works perfectly fine, especially for single-purpose virtual hardware disks. But on the other hand, you have the traditional partition method, where you create a partition first, giving you /dev/sdb1. Honestly, neither is strictly wrong. Putting a file system directly on the whole block device is totally functional, but partitioning is definitely a more common, familiar pattern. It leaves a much clearer breadcrumb trail for someone looking at the system later, making the original intent of the setup way more obvious. The community actually landed on a really interesting perspective here, which is perfectly captured in this reassuring quote. First, you make storage work, then you learn what you did, then you rebuild parts of it with more intention. That is basically the curriculum. In our source's example, the 1 terabyte drive was used for image photo storage right on the raw disk, while their 500 gigabyte drive was later explicitly partitioned for jellyfin media. That isn't a failure. It is just the natural evolution of learning and building a home lab. Section 4. Proxmox storage layers: why Linux storage isn't the whole story. So, here is the absolute crucial realization if you want to master this. Proxmox storage is a layer above Linux storage. Just because Linux sees a disk, formats it, and mounts it perfectly at /mnt/photos absolutely does not mean that Proxmox automatically sees it as a formal place to store VM disks or backups in the web UI. And I think this brilliantly illustrates that subtle but super important difference. At the Linux host level, you might have a drive perfectly mounted at /mnt/media or a raw block device sitting at /dev/sdb. But up at the Proxmox storage level, those drives are not automatically configured for the hypervisor. Proxmox requires explicit storage definitions. You actually have to tell it, hey, use this drive as a directory or ZFS or LVM-thin and specifically use it to store ISO files or container templates. The host OS needs storage for sure, but the hypervisor needs explicit, mapped definitions. Section 5. Reading the storage map from panic to empowerment. Home lab storage really stops being scary when you stop thinking of it as just 3 physical drives and start thinking of it as this beautiful stack of layers. You've got hardware at the absolute bottom, then partitions, then your volume managers like LVM, then mount points, then your Proxmox definitions sitting right on top of that, holding your VM disks, app data, and backups. Knowing exactly which layer you are touching is the real key to safety here. Formatting dev/sdb will behave entirely differently than formatting dev/sdb1. Deleting a logical volume is a totally different action from removing a Proxmox storage definition in the UI. Every single layer has a job. So I want to leave you with this final thought. A confusing storage tree is not always a warning sign. Sometimes it's literally just your server telling you the truth in a language you haven't completely mastered quite yet. The next time you run lsblk and your terminal prints out this massive, complex family tree of layers and volumes, will you see a haunted crime scene or will you just see the plumbing? Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and I'll see you in the next explainer.